Welcome back to the Coconut Tree Podcast. I hope you've all had a fantastic and safe week, especially to our friends down in Tampa Bay, Florida. Um, you guys had a rough time over the past week or two, but we got quite a lot of topics to go over with you guys today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let Anthony lead off today.
All right. Hey there, guys and gals. It's been a bit, but let's start off by talking about, Kamala's latest media blitz. It feels like she's really been getting out there, but maybe not where people would expect. I
And that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen her on, for example, there's this podcast, Call Her Daddy. I don't really listen
Yeah,
to it.
that's what it is.
But
Yeah.
as far as I understand, it is a feminist podcast targeted at young women. Um, so, I mean, I think that's a very important demographic for Kamala Harris. I also saw her on. Actually, where else has she been, Tom? Do you remember?
So, first off, the Call Me Daddy podcast, it's not just a feminist podcast. It's just a good podcast. Men watch it, young women watch it, middle-aged women watch it. Everybody's watching it. I feel like we need to get more strict with the term young women and young men because I think that there's a lot of people who are pretty much 30 years old who get lumped into that category and they don't belong there anymore.
Yeah, I think
When
there's
when
some
I
truth to
like
that.
I want young women and young men to mean you're like 16 to 23 years old, you know?
Yeah,
Um I think after that you're just an adult, period, straight up. Um I but the Call Me Daddy podcast was one of them. I want to phrase this less as her media blitz and more as the unorthodox way that she's done her media blitz. Kamala's been killing it. She's been hitting home runs out of the park. She appeared on The View, which
oh,
was
that's
good,
right.
even
The
though I
View. That's what I
hate
was
The
thinking.
View. Yeah, even though The View is probably the single lowest quality television program on the
Yeah,
entire face
but
of the earth,
but she needs those
it people
suburban
watch
women,
it.
right?
People watch it. And the Call Me Daddy podcast, I think, was the real slam dunk for her here because not only was she on it, and it's actually a somewhat quality program at the very least that you get some level of consistency out of, but on top of that, a lot of people watch it, and she performed really well. She really struck home in that one. They talked about quite a lot of different things. I highly recommend going and watching it.
Yeah, I'm of two minds on this, Tom. Um, I agree with you probably, and with Kamala's team that it probably doesn't really make sense for her to spend too much time going on the traditional media outlets like New York Times, CBS, whatever. Because not that she's not doing that. She did a 60 Minutes interview recently, for
Yeah, I was about to
example.
say she did 60 Minutes.
But
She's doing everything.
yeah, but
She just doesn't sleep anymore.
I have heard some complaints from traditional media that she's not giving enough interviews or whatever. And I kind of think that it doesn't really make sense for her to do that just because not that many people watch these programs anymore. Not many people are reading interviews in the New York Times, right?
Oh man, I have strong opinions on this.
Yeah. However, at the same time, the other half of my mind is like, well, is she really reaching out? Is her appearance on Call Her Daddy going to translate to a measurable increase in votes where it matters? That I'm less sure of.
Depends. I mean, we'll have to look at voter registration numbers if you want to go and look and see if any more people registered to vote since that podcast occurred, but I feel like that's a pretty decent indicator. Um, I think that quite literally the only singular reason that traditional news medias are complaining about stuff like this is because the only time anybody ever watches their program is when a presidential candidate is on it getting
Oh,
interviewed.
of course.
There is quite literally no other time. So they have a vested interest in destroying the other news mediums.
Look, man,
So,
I'm not even
um,
look. Speaking for myself, I'm a loser. I watch these things regularly, even when there's not an election, because I'm a loser, right? And I see the ads, and they're all for, like freaking incontinence and elderly medication. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So these are the people who are watching this.
I'm not, no, see, that's the thing. I don't even think old people are watching it anymore. I think it's more that that's the only ads they can get
It's possible.
kind of deal. Um, like for example, the older people, they're listening to, well, he's dead now, but they're listening to Rush Limbaugh. They're not listening to ABC special news coverage. They're listening to Fox News, MSNBC, and
Or whatever
radio.
weirdo they see on Facebook on their feed.
Yeah, exactly. Like a podcast of some kind that echoes what they already think is the case.
Yeah.
That's the only way they can possibly interpret news or take it in, as if they've already agreed with it.
So then you think this blitz is effective?
Huge positive. I think that this is probably one of the most important and good things that she has done with her campaign.
Okay. So
Like, this is a huge positive for me. I see this as an absolute win.
so I do know, for example, that not just saying young women, let's say women between, I don't know, 18 and 30, right? I do know that they vote more than their male counterparts of similar ages. So
Sure.
I do think it's important for her to get on, these kinds of podcasts and outlets. We mentioned The View, and, I'm pretty sure that's like the domain of suburban women, right? Which
That's
are,
50 plus year old women at the absolute earliest.
yeah, but that's a very important
No one's
voting.
watching that trash.
No, but it's a very important voting demographic. You could argue that suburban women delivered Biden the election in some of these swing states.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah,
But I mean, every vote delivered Biden the election,
yeah, but what I
not
don't.
one specific demographic.
That's true, but I think it was the swing among suburban women that was unexpected. But
Yeah, I don't like it when people try to phrase it that way.
okay, well, I do know that um, I'm not sure. Like even if women vote more than men between like 18 and 30 or whatever, I'm not sure that the younger ones that she needs to turn out, like the 20-something-year-olds, I'm not positive that they're high propensity voters. I would need to see data on that. I think you've actually argued that they are in the past.
I think that no, not that they are, but that every single election season it increases. Like, dude, the voter turnout has hit records both of the previous two elections.
Right, that's true. Yes, absolutely.
Like, people are just not. All right, listen, we're starting to hit a generation of America where not everyone was raised with lead paint in their food.
Yeah.
You know, like there's more people care more about politics. People are thinking harder about these topics. People are being more reflective. They don't have the lead paint stare anymore. That we've evolved past that. So I really think that it's just going to continue to increase, to be honest with you. And to the Democrats' bonus here, I actually think that for Democrats, having Trump on the Republican ticket is great for them because it almost guarantees that all of the Democrats are actually going to turn out to vote.
Yeah, I've been seeing that, no matter how well Trump does, he has a hard ceiling of about 46 to 47%. In no election has he ever gotten more votes than that.
Yeah, that's because everyone else is a Democrat who's a registered voter.
Right.
And so here's a piece of research that I've studied in my college career. I I read this in my news media course, I'm pretty sure. But people, as they age, traditionally speaking, like the data goes back to the 1930s all the way up until now. Like it's a longitudinal study that they continue to add to. And from what I understand, typically speaking, traditionally speaking, older generations, it the general rule of thumb was whatever your political affiliation was when you were about 22 years old, you just kept it your whole life. Was just kind of what the research tells us. But more and more and more young people, and by young people in this sense, I mean 20 to 25-year-olds, we're starting to see that that rule of thumb just doesn't apply anymore. I don't know if it's like a kids saying that they aren't going to agree with their parents necessarily, or that things have become more disjointed, or that social media is more accessible so you don't have to blend in with your local communities as effectively anymore. I think there's a lot that plays into the reason, but it just isn't the case, according to the research, that young people are just choosing a political party and sticking with it for the rest of their lives anymore. There are so many people now who have hopped the fence to go one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, we
So,
can talk about people becoming, or, people voting for Democrats when they didn't before, but the opposite is also true, right? I think we're
especially
seeing,
with young men.
yes, the gender divide has been something that I've heard a lot of discussion about this election. Um,
Yeah. When it comes to the gender divide, I think that the left makes a really bad misattribution towards these young men, where they try to frame it like young men are going right because they're like pro-life and they hate women and stuff like that. But in all reality, if you actually talk to any of these young men, it has nothing to fucking do with that. They're just tired of the stupid bullshit. Like, it's all economics and social stuff for them, like programs, I mean, not LGBT stuff. Like, for most of the young men I talk to who have flipped to the right, it's mostly just like, we believe in free market economics and that's what we want, and we're tired of hearing people bitch and complain and get handouts from the government,
right,
is essentially what I've heard from them.
but this is a
So I
information problem, right? Because you could
Yeah, yeah,
argue,
yeah, this is the whole country is doing
yeah,
this.
Trump is not exactly the best economic choice here.
No, obviously, but people don't pick candidates, dude. People pick the party that they voted for their whole life.
Right.
Like, we can pretend that it has something to do with the celebrity of a candidate, but when you really get down to the brass tacks of it, it's very uncommon for people to cross party lines when it comes to voting.
Well, hey,
I like, honestly, and unfortunately, Trump 2016 was one of the first ones to really pull it off, or most recent ones to really pull it off.
yeah, that's right. But hey, since we're talking about the gender divide and unorthodox media blitzes, what do you make of Trump going on Aiden Ross's stream, for example, and doing
I think
stuff like
that's a
that?
huge negative.
Yes, right.
See, this is actually something that I wanted to compare and contrast about the two campaigns, because Kamala is going on programs that have a certain level of quality, right? They're not going on programs that have they're not going on programs that are mainly viewed on a platform that literally platforms child rapists. Like,
Is
I
that
mean,
what
let's
Kick
be
does?
real. Yeah, dude, in order to get banned from Kick, you have to literally kill people. Like,
Jesus.
it is so hard to get banned from Kick. There was one guy. He literally hired a prostitute and had sex with the prostitute in front of his kid. His kid walked in and saw him having sex with a prostitute on
What
stream.
the fuck? Seriously?
Yeah. And he got like a slap on the wrist for it, from what I understand. I mean, unless they changed it and made it more severe. But it, like, dude, straight up, it is an actual cesspool. So I mean, it is typically the types of places that the Trump campaign likes to play in. But dude, I've said this every single time that we've recorded this podcast and talked about Trump's his campaign's strategy. You don't need to solidify your base anymore. Stop. You need to chill out and you need to focus on the moderates. I think that if he can't chill out and focus on the moderates and stop with the crazy shit for at least the next 2 weeks to a month, like leading up to election day, I think he's cooked. He needs to stop with the foolishness. He needs to attract moderates for the next month. And if he can't do that, he's not going to win.
I think he's going crazier and crazier honestly, kind of leaning into the more fashy aspects of his character. I mean, I just saw a post from Trump.
That's fine.
I saw a post from Trump the other day talking about how we're known across the world as occupied America, and his election will be Liberation Day, and he will round up all the criminals and punish them, right? And
Yeah, no, and I get that. But here, let me put it to you this way. I think that the fascist stuff is not an instant turnoff to moderates, unfortunately. Like, I think that they don't care about that
I
stuff.
actually think you're right.
They care about this. They care about the stuff where he looks like a total lunatic. Like, for example, the other day when he was talking in Detroit, he started saying shit like, and then I see them with the planes in the sky spinning around in circles, and then they land on a raft in the middle of the ocean. I've seen it. I've seen them land on the raft, and Biden has these little circles, and he's got these little circles. Everybody remember Biden's little circles? What the fuck is he talking about? I think the first part of that was supposed to be like he's talking about cloud seeding. I think is what he was trying to talk about. But what the fuck are Biden circles?
My favorite gaffe that I saw was it's just a clip of him being like, I want to talk about grocery. It's kind of an interesting word.
Oh my
grocery
god.
kind of means everything that you eat.
It's so bad, and the bacon is quadrupled.
Yeah, he has complaints.
He
About
didn't even say the
grocery.
price is quadrupled. He said the bacon has quadrupled. We have quadruple the bacon.
No, but this actually frustrates me because I feel like the bar for Trump is so low because
That's because it
he's
is.
always been insane. No one, like, we're talking about it, and some people online are talking about it, but I don't hear like major figures talking about how he clearly has some mental issues the way they talked about Biden, right?
No, you know what? That there's a reason for that, and the reason for that is because uh, they buy into it. Like all of the other politicians reiterate and recertify the foolishness that he says. Like for example, when they were talking about the hurricanes, right? And they were like, "Oh, they're coming to take your land. Don't trust the FEMA workers who are coming to help you. They're trying to steal your land from you." And like Congress people were tweeting out, "Yeah, this is a problem." And I'm like, "Don't do that. What are you doing?
A sitting
What the
congresswoman,
fuck?"
Marjorie Taylor Greene, is out there doubling down about how Democrats control the weather.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Joe Poseidon is out here spinning up hurricanes.
Joe Poseidon's pretty
It's
good.
it's just the most insane thing I've ever seen. And the fact that the actual Republican Party members, like the real members of Congress, they are sitting members right now, elected officials who are writing our laws and deciding how our lives are going to be spent and what governs us. They are advocating that Biden creates hurricanes.
Yeah, see, this is why I have no patience for like both sidesing things, right? Like, like right now, for example, there's a bit of a push in Michigan to help Jill Stein's Green Party campaign, basically for the purpose of
I've heard of this. This is
punishing
so stupid.
Kamala Trump. Oh my God, what a horrible slip! Punishing Kamala Harris and electing Trump there for because of her Gaza positions or whatever, right? And they talk about, oh, both sides are evil, blah blah blah. I'm going to vote my conscience, vote third party. Number one, that's stupid. You're not actually voting third party. What you're really doing is denying Kamala Harris a victory, and Jill Stein has basically admit that herself. But also, how?
But she outright said that
Yeah,
explicitly.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but like also, you know, how can you both sides this when literally one party is saying that Democrats control the weather? There's no sitting congressperson on the Democratic side that has said anything remotely as crazy. They might lie or they might say some things that are wrong about economics or something now and then, but they'll never be that freaking insane.
Yeah, something that especially when it comes to both sidesing it, let's be real, it's the Israel-Palestine issue
For
in
sure.
Michigan that they latch on to. I dude, there is no both sides of this issue. Like these are all single issue voters is the problem. And I'm sorry, but if you made Israel Palestine your single issue that you're going to vote on, you're a clown.
Yeah,
You're a moron.
even both sides saying that is
Like you're
stupid
an idiot.
because Trump changed the embassy to Jerusalem against the the wishes of
All right,
basically
listen.
every other
Trump
country.
literally has said that he is going to wipe Palestine off the face of the earth
Yeah,
if he gets
there
elected.
there is an
Like
illegal
quite literally.
there is an illegal settlement in the Golan Heights named Trump Heights. He's not better for Palestine. He will be worse. And if you vote for Jill Stein in Michigan, you are actually hurting Palestinian people that you say you care about.
And like even besides this, even if you take the Israel Palestine stuff out of this, being a single issue voter is fucking stupid.
Yeah, you need to be
How can you
holistic.
possibly be a single issue voter? You just have to actually have no idea what the hell is going on around you. And especially to pick Israel Palestine as your single issue that you're going to vote on. Bro, it's literally not even in the top 5 issues that voters are cared about right now in
No.
this election, like that are listed in like polls.
No, I think it's entirely a Gen Z young person thing, and I kind of, God, I don't want to get.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's completely died out. I don't. I think that maybe 1% of all voters give a flying
Yes,
fuck
yeah,
at this
I
point.
don't think that's true because we still have celebrities like Chapel Roan or whatever making a very big deal about it. But
No one cares what she does.
I mean, I don't care what she does, but I think a lot of people do. She's
No,
pretty popular.
nobody cares.
Okay, well, yeah, well, to the
I think the
extent.
whole celebrity thing, whenever they talk, the political effect lasts for maybe a month or so.
That's probably right. But to the extent that it does still exist, even if it's a small bit, um, I kind of think that it's entirely like the group of people who are very passionate about this are mostly young people who want to have their big generational struggle, like in the
They
60s.
already did.
Yeah, yes, but they
We
think
had
this
the
is it.
COVID pandemic. You've already had it.
Yeah, but
It's
they want their
done. Now it's time to
Vietnam
vote on real
they
issues.
want their Vietnam War movement. They romanticize that kind of
I'm
activism.
gonna be honest with you. I don't think that's true. I think you're giving them way too much credit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think literally none of them are thinking on that high of a level. They're not sitting there talking about
Oh,
Vietnam. They're
I'm
not
not
sitting there
saying it's
talking about that kind of
conscious.
stuff. But what I'm saying is, I don't think they even compare themselves to it. Like, I think a vast majority of those people have probably never even seen pictures of a Vietnam protest.
That's probably true
I,
too.
I I don't, I don't think it's even in their repertoire. Like, they don't. It has nothing to do with them. I think they're just dumbasses.
Yeah, there's definitely some
Like
degree of
I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare Vietnam to Israel
no, of course
Palestine.
not.
It's
Of
just
course not.
not.
I'm just saying that's what the dumb people might think, right? But
Oh, perhaps, but I think that the dumb people don't even understand what the hell was going on in the 70s.
yeah, honestly, I think a lot of it is driven by the America bad philosophy that I'm just seeing.
Well, 60s and 70s.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to get too bogged down into Israel Palestine because that is a behemoth of a
Me
topic
neither.
in and of
Yeah,
itself.
we're not doing that right now.
Was there more?
Um
Yeah.
um what I want to continue on here is I want to really hammer home the Trump mental state stuff and his gaffes. I feel like literally every single speech he has given for the past 3 months, he has looked completely deranged and said some stuff that is just completely unhinged. Like, and I'm not talking his normal level of unhinged where he's saying something that's politically bad. I'm talking about like unhinged, like the homeless man at the corner store screaming at you.
It's getting worse, for sure.
Like, he's really deteriorating rapidly. I'm honestly, I'm kind of shocked at how fast he is deteriorating because I never really thought that that was a thing that would impact him, at least at this point during the campaign. I thought that he would pump himself up with enough Adderall like he normally does that this doesn't happen. But he's starting to sound real crazy. Like, dude, all right, listen. Personally, I don't even think that this is that big of a deal, but just the fact that he did it is kind of like raising my eyebrow. Where he's in Detroit and he's like, if you guys don't vote for me, every city in the country is going to end up like Detroit.
Oh my God,
And it's
yeah.
just like, what are you doing, bro? Like, here's the thing. I actually think that's going to help him in Michigan. I'm not going to lie to you. I know people are pretending that they're all upset about it, but I think that the average person in Detroit is very similar to like the average person in Philadelphia, where it's like, yeah, we know Detroit sucks. Like, I think that it supports them because, like, especially in the suburbs around Detroit and around Philadelphia, they're all like, yeah, the city fucking sucks, but I love it.
Yeah, I kind of get that impression, but I kind of think that, if you're from the city itself, maybe you're not gonna take kindly to people who, like,
And that's
outsiders
why
at
it's a great
least, right?
strategy. He doesn't give a fuck what the city of Detroit does because they weren't going to vote for him
Yeah,
anyway.
he cares about the rural and the
Yeah,
suburbans.
well, the
Yeah.
thing is, they weren't going to vote for him. No city in the entire United States that has more than 300,000 people living in it is going to vote for Trump.
No.
It doesn't exist. It's nowhere in the entire country,
Yeah, no. I mean,
which is what makes it a good thing that land doesn't vote, people do.
that kind of reminds me of a poll I saw recently from
Oh boy.
it's a pretty bad poll from, I think they're called Tip Insights, TIPP. Yeah, I guess they published a poll recently where Trump was up 1%, or maybe, no, I think it was 1% in Pennsylvania, right? And oh shit, people are going crazy, Trump up in Pennsylvania, even though it's essentially a tie to be up 1%, right? But
Hmm.
if you look at the poll itself and like the samples, they basically only, so that they got like something like 200 respondents from Philadelphia, but they said that like 180 of them or whatever were not likely voters. So their Philadelphia,
Well, then the poll is garbage.
exactly, their Philadelphia sample size was n equals 12 compared to a couple hundred
That's
for other
absolutely
areas.
ridiculous.
Yeah, so
Well, gee, no wonder he was up. That's
yeah, so
wild.
people pretending that Philadelphia doesn't exist and not, you know, forgetting that, no city person is going to vote for this
Well, they
man.
do it on purpose because I think that the right actually has makes a really big mistake on this one, and I think that they go out of their way to boost themselves up. Like, let me, how do I put this? I think that on the right, they have a tendency to say, we just got to push out a fake poll. We don't care. We need people to think that we're leading because they have this rhetoric that they want to talk about in the news where it's like, oh, look, we're ahead. We're ahead. We're doing great. I think that, like, okay, I want you to think about the orcs from Warhammer, all right? Right before they go into battle, they start screaming and yelling and hyping up their boys and really hooting and hollering. And I think that that's kind of what the right news media it tries to do. Like they do these bad polls on purpose to make them all rally together and boost and scream and go crazy because when you go and watch the news media after seeing that the poll shows Trump is up, the people on the news that you like to watch will say, "Look, Trump is up. He's winning the election. We're doing good." And you can sit there and feel vindicated that you're right and your side's winning because the big strength of the conservative right in the United States is that they all feel as though most people agree with them. And the second that they feel that it's close or that they're in the minority with their political beliefs, they fall apart. Like I've seen it happen. Like when people are exposed to polls, they're just like, "What do you mean? Most people agree with me. Like we're not crazy. You guys are crazy." And they get real. It's kind of similar to culture shock about it. So I think that those types of polls are actually done on
Oh,
purpose.
I think so too. I mean, I think there's a well-established pattern of Republican leading pollsters kind of flooding the zone to kind of boost the averages in their favor. Um,
Yeah.
the problem is it's a double-edged sword, right? Yes, I think Republicans they tend to rally around the leader, and I think they will, might boost them. However, I think it also engenders a deep anxiety and fear among Democrats, and I think Democrats are highly motivated to vote by this anxiety and fear, right?
I disagree with you
Oh, I
completely.
think we see it with abortion when every Democrat
Yeah,
comes out of the woodwork to
okay.
vote.
I'm gonna let you finish,
Oh, I'm
but I
basically done.
would like to reference the 2016 election
Yeah, I think the
when no
Democrats
one showed up to
I
vote.
think the Democrats did not have the anxiety because they did not think there was any way Trump could win. So they weren't worried about it.
I think that that's a perfect example of what we're talking about, though.
What do you mean?
Or are you saying that because it's in the opposite direction, you feel like it's making them go vote?
Uh,
Because I feel like if Democrats feel like they're getting crushed, they just don't bother.
oh, I feel that way. I think if they were getting crushed, they wouldn't bother. But if they're seeing a few polls where Trump is up only one or two,
I think they back down very easily.
oh, I have a completely. I mean, we're speculating at this point, but I have a really
Well, yeah, of
completely different
course.
impression.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to say this in the most professional way I can. I think Democrats are fucking pussies.
I think the 2022 election is kind of a good illustration of what I'm saying. There was a
Like
predicted,
the mid
yeah, the
term
midterms. There was
election, you
there was
mean?
a predicted red wave that never materialized
Oh
because,
yeah, but that was oh my god, I hated it when people brought that shit up because it was a myth.
yeah,
Like, dude, nobody actually thought that except the conservative news media was running around bumping it on their boombox like as loud as possible. So here's my problem with the conservative news media. They just scream the same thing over and over again as loud as possible until other people start doing the exact same thing for them. Like it's total foolishness. This would Oh my god, it drives me crazy. This red wave was a total
oh
myth.
yeah,
I call it the red
it
mirage.
wasn't
Even
borne out in
though,
the
like,
polls.
it wasn't even a red mirage. Like, there was no mirage. You were seeing nothing. They were just saying that it existed, and it didn't. It's actually the orcs from Warhammer.
Yes,
They just
and it
believe, and
becomes
therefore it
true.
works.
Well, look, it's true that the red wave was not actually predicted by the polls at all. However, Democrats still did overperform what the polls said they would do. Um, but that
Sure.
said, that said,
Margin of error.
that's true. But that said, you hit on something that really really bothers me. The issue isn't just with conservative media. Like whatever. We can expect them to be stupid, and we can expect them to boost the conservative side. So I'm not that mad about that. I'm mad about how the rest of the media allows the conservative media to set the tone and set the agenda. Like the conservative media will say something like, "Oh, there's a red wave," and then for some reason, the New York Times and CNN will take the bait and discuss the red wave nonstop. And I don't see why. Why do they have to let them set the agenda
Okay.
like that?
The reason they do that is because now they're getting market exposure. If there's a whole bunch of Fox News viewers out there that believe that there's going to be a red wave, and as the New York Times, you're trying to get people to read the New York Times, you also want to target those people. So you're going to pretend that there's a red wave. It's about money at that point.
It's very frustrating. I feel like the left is always very reactive to the right, and the right is very, you know, very active.
I
It
think
sets
that's
the.
changed
You
recently.
think so?
Well, let me nail this down more specific because I have a pretty complicated opinion on this one. I think overall you're totally right when it comes to the traditional news media sources. However, and I think that you really have to hand it to Kamala Harris's team on this one. I think she's changing the footnote on that. Like we're no longer seeing a Democrat Party that's on the defense, like constantly. No, I swear I don't support that. No, I don't believe that. Oh my God, and defending themselves. You're seeing her campaign fucking go after people. I have not seen too many commercials in Democrat campaigns that are like, this guy is straight up a fucking felon and he wants to deport your loved ones. It's not often that you see that kind of rhetoric coming from the left, but Kamala's really pulling it off. I really like it. I think she's actually fighting back, and I like it
Oh yeah.
because, like I said earlier, Democrats are fucking pussies, and like when I say that, it comes with the media that I'm talking about them too. They are never willing to fight back. Like I don't want to phrase it like this because you should always use the truth to fight the foolishness, but how come we don't see anybody on the left screaming and yelling random crazy lies in the fashion that Fox News does? Like, dude, they invented the war on Christmas.
Yeah, they did.
It's not real.
They did.
Why is the left's response not the war on Hanukkah?
Well, let's not get too deep into wars on Hanukkah because I think there's some very far left people that might actually want that, unfortunately.
That's even more insane than the war on Christmas.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I actually think that some of Kamala Harris's media blitz with the unorthodox forms of media might actually be a way to say, look, why am I going to go on these places that just let, they just respond to like the conservative talking points and they just kind of feed those talking points. Why not go on these other outlets that, will quite frankly help her a little bit more?
Yeah, like let me phrase it like this. I think that traditionally speaking, over the past like 60 years, it's been the case that the Republicans drag the Democrat into the pig pen, right? But I think that Kamala is more than happy to jump in the pig pen as a zookeeper and smack the fuck out of the pigs.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I'm seeing here.
I saw a great speech by Tim Walz recently. I guess apparently Donald Trump has been selling Trump edition Bibles or whatever. Um,
Oh, I almost forgot about this. I'm adding this to the list. I can't believe I forgot about
yeah,
this.
yeah. So the Trump edition Bibles are they're apparently made in China, right? Which why would you do that if you're running for president? Um, but Tim Walz, he was like, "Oh wow, Trump will even outsource God to China." And then he said,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what? I don't blame him for not seeing the Made in China sticker because it was on the first page and he probably has never opened it in his life.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
Yeah, exactly. See, you don't normally see that kind of stuff coming from the left. Like that kind of sassy stuff for the Republicans kind of started with Reagan, and he was sassy on mic. Like he would look at his opponent. I paid for this microphone too. Like he's the Republicans have ran with that sassiness since Reagan, and now I think that the left might finally be catching up. We finally got a candidate who's willing to actually give it back to them. Like they're not afraid to stand in the kitchen while the oven is on fire.
yeah, I just
And I like it. I honestly, I was saying this at the beginning of the campaign. I like Biden's campaign. I was saying, I really hope that Biden finishes this out when people were still talking about him dropping out. I'm like, I think he still has the best chance of winning. I don't want Kamala to take over. But seeing the way that she's structured her media campaign, I just like it more. I've changed my mind. I was wrong. Kamala has a better chance of winning this election than Biden does because Biden isn't willing to drag himself down to Trump's level, and she is.
yeah, I think there's some truth to that, and I think we kind of saw it during the debate. I thought she was
Absolutely.
very strong there. But listen, since we're talking about conservative media people setting the agenda, let's talk about everyone's favorite billionaire,
No, no, no one's favorite.
Mr. Well, to be honest, he does have a cult of
I know
personality
he does
going
have a
on.
following. I know, I
But let's
know.
talk about
I just hate the fucker.
Mr. Elon
I mean,
Musk.
unless he wants to employ me and give me lots of money, then I'll talk about how much I love him. Just an FYI.
I've been seeing people on Twitter lately. I will not call it X, but I've been seeing people on Twitter getting fat paychecks of like, 10,000, several $1,000s for their tweets. Have you seen that?
I mean, that's always been the case.
I don't think tweets were monetized until Elon took over, but he recently changed his policy, and I think they're
Oh,
going to.
that's what you mean. I thought you meant outright paying people to post a tweet,
No, no, no. I don't mean that. I mean that people are like, hey,
like
look.
a sponsored tweet.
People are like, hey, look, I'm very. Because, the blue check program, you can monetize your tweets or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're posting, hey, look, I made $10,000 posting. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, Elon,
Jesus.
he is. If I told you, if you were a Republican, Tom, and I told you that there was a left-leaning billionaire who wanted to microchip people's brains and who was actively censoring social media to help one political candidate and actually going to that political candidate's rally. As a conservative, I think you would be insane. Or you would be really angry.
Conservatives would literally find and kill him.
Yeah, yeah. But here we are, we're seeing
It's
it.
so funny. Sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you. I just want to jump in and mark what you just said because Elon Musk is actually doing those things. But they target Bill Gates, who isn't doing those things, and say that he's doing those things
That's what
when
I'm
Elon
saying.
Musk is actually doing them.
He's actually doing them.
Just saying.
And
Actually wants to microchip people's
and the
brains.
thing about the Hunter Biden stuff or whatever, what Elon Musk is doing is way more brazen and way more obvious and way worse than whatever Twitter was doing
No,
with the
free
Hunter Biden
speech.
laptops. It's insane.
So that's actually not what I thought you wanted to talk about with Elon Musk.
Oh,
I wanted to talk about something else that I saw specifically that Elon
oh,
did.
there's a lot to talk about with this guy.
So he recently ran his own poll on Twitter saying, "Who do you want to be the president, Trump or Kamala?" with literally no restrictions on who could vote at all. And there were no qualifiers like registered or likely voters. It was just everyone on Twitter. And coincidentally, Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, owns the algorithm, owns the poll, owns the tweet, and is a staunch Trump supporter. Surprisingly, his poll came out that 75% of people think Trump should be president, and he has been bumping it. I have seen conservatives going crazy. They're like, Elon Musk is the only trustworthy news source. I knew everyone agreed with me. No, you clowns. It's 16-year-olds memeing on you, you morons.
Yeah,
It's like 14-year-olds.
Twitter's getting a bit scary for me, honestly. Have you ever heard of the dead internet theory?
Don't you mean Truth Social?
Oh, sorry. Yes, True Social X, whatever. Um, but have you heard of the dead
The same
internet
thing.
theory, Tom?
I've heard the phrase before. I don't really know specifically what it means
So
though.
the idea is that the internet will eventually become more and more populated by bots to the point where it'll just be bots replying to other bots, and there will basically be no more humans, and the internet will just be
Oh.
basically dead functionally, right?
Well, I hate to tell you this, but that's pretty much how it feels to just go to the grocery store at this point.
Well, listen, Twitter.
Like that's humans now. Like we don't even need the bots. We're just fucked.
If you go under any moderately popular reply on Twitter, it will not take you long to click on an account and find out that it's
Oh,
a
I
bot.
know.
It's so obvious.
Find porn, find bots,
And I think
find porn bots.
Elon has made some changes that I think have made it harder to track bots. Number one, he took the company private, which means he doesn't have to be as transparent. That's a bit of a smaller thing, but it's true. Two, he's hiding likes. That used to be a really big way to help track bots. And it seems like, despite his attack, when he came in, he was like, "Oh, we got to stop the bots. We're going to, change the rates of, what we're charging for the APIs so that bots can't post as easily." And yet, for some reason, there are way more bots than ever. I really don't understand why that is, unless, it's on purpose. I kind of think that Elon Musk. Okay, I'm gonna get a little conspiracy brain for a second. Are you ready? Are you ready?
All right, that's where I get excited.
My conspiracy, and I don't hold this opinion too strongly, so I can be debated out of it. But I kind of think Elon Musk is a foreign asset, and I think that
Of South Africa?
not necessarily of South Africa, but of, I don't know, the Saudis or Russia or whoever. Supposedly he took a lot of money in loans from the Saudis and Qatar to buy Twitter, for example. But I kind of think he's kind of a foreign asset, and he took what was the most open social media website and the most important one for journalists, and turned it into a crazy echo chamber where he can manipulate information and post. He has post deep fakes of Kamala Harris to his feed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane. I think it's really dangerous.
Um, maybe. All right, let's make this clear for the viewers. This is high level total
Oh,
conspiracy,
totally.
literally zero evidence at all
Totally.
whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Um, I don't think that that's likely to be the case. I think that it's impossible for Elon Musk to be a foreign asset. And the reason I say that is because when you are someone who is in Elon Musk's position, there is one singular thing in the entire planet that you care about: Elon Musk. He couldn't help another country if he tried.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. If he's not a foreign asset, he's at least a useful idiot. I think our enemies
Oh,
benefit a
that's
lot
possible.
from his rule of
I
Twitter.
just like something that he gets super negative points from me for is like and this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. He's totally just pro Elon. He he was promising to give the internet service to everyone in Ukraine when the war broke out from the satellites, and he took it away. He said it was too expensive to run.
That's pretty crazy.
Thanks.
That's pretty
Thanks,
crazy.
Elon.
I know that there was some reporting that the supposedly his big break with the Democrats was that Biden had this EV conference or whatever, an EV summit for electric vehicles, and he did not invite Elon, and supposedly that was like that actually really hurt his fifis,
Oh
and it
no.
began the
Well,
slippery slope.
oh. All right. So what you're telling me is that in either 4 to 8 years, Elon Musk is going to be running for president as the Republican Party's candidate.
Well, he can't,
I
right?
mean, that's how he got Trump. Obama insulted him in public, and now Trump is a political figure.
You're on to something, but he can't run for president, right? Because he's
Oh yeah, he's South African.
However,
Oh, we're saved.
there's some reporting now, and look, where this might also be conspiracy theory, so I want to let the audience know to take it with a grain of salt. Like seriously, you don't necessarily have to believe this; it might not be real, but there is some reporting that indicates that whether it's true or not, Elon might believe that if Trump wins, he can basically kind of mastermind some stuff behind the scenes and become like a shadow president. In fact, they've asked him this in interviews, and he's laughed about it. Um, so I don't know. Maybe
I don't think that's gonna happen.
no. I don't. I think
See, just like Elon Musk can only possibly support Elon, it's the only thing he's capable of. Trump is only capable of supporting Trump. It's not.
that's
He
my
would
thinking
never
too.
let it happen.
Like even if I believe, even if it's true that Elon believes this is the case, I think he's wrong about it because I don't think
Yeah.
that Trump would relinquish
I also think
anything.
he's nowhere near as smart as people give him credit for.
No, no. I think he's got maybe a mind for like cutting costs, and because that's how
He's a
SpaceX
Six
got
Sigma
big, right?
green belt.
He's probably pretty good at like actuarial stuff and managing like expenses versus investments, but I don't think he has that much knowledge on really anything
If
else.
he did not get a big break with Tesla and PayPal, he would literally be selling hot dogs in New York.
Yeah, it could be.
Anyway, something that you mentioned earlier that I really, really want to talk about. You brought up the Trump Bible.
Yes.
So the fact that you didn't bring this up tells me that I think you don't know this, but the state of Oklahoma, very fun piece of information here. So last week and over the past little while, let me frame this here. So a state, for obvious reasons, cannot use taxpayer money to contribute to a political campaign.
Okay.
Makes sense. However, what Oklahoma did recently is they've started to require Bibles in their schools under certain rules. So, what they've done is they've made it so that there has to be a certain number of Bibles in the state that need to be purchased. They have made the criteria ridiculously strict and strange, where it has to be like a certain edition of the Bible, it has to include certain things, it has to be leather bound,
What?
and it just so happens that all of the qualifications that are so limiting happen to just fit the Trump Bible.
Do they actually? I
So,
didn't know that.
yes, and they're purchasing 55,000 of them.
Oh my God.
So indirectly, what the state of Oklahoma and the Republicans controlling the state have done is they've given Trump a huge campaign donation with taxpayer funds.
Wait, so it's been confirmed that they're purchasing the Trump Bibles?
Yeah, from what I understand, they're purchasing 55,000 of them.
That's crazy. How is this allowed?
Well, it's not associated with his campaign.
It says his name on it.
Okay, so since then, let me change this. They have amended their approach. Okay, so they're not going to be, well, they still might, but from what I understand, as of 6 days ago, according to the Guardian, 55,000 Bibles were sought by Oklahoma from the Trump Bible. However, according to the LA Times, 4 days ago, they amended the request because part of the requirements was that the Bible had to include U.S. historical documents such as the Declaration of Independence and the
What? Why would
Constitution.
that be in the
Yeah,
Bible?
I'm dead serious. It's literally the Trump Bible, is what they were saying you had to buy. So they changed the specifics a little bit, but it seems like they're still going to be buying 55,000 Trump Bibles.
Wow. That's pretty evil,
Um,
actually. That's pretty bad.
yeah. I don't think they've bought them yet, but it seems I think they're trying to change it to cover their tracks so that it doesn't look as suspicious. You know, like they want to let other people put in bids for the Bibles. But I think that ultimately they'll take the Trump Bibles anyway.
Wow. So the kids of
So,
Oklahoma,
so
will be
yeah,
reading their Chinese-made Trump Bibles that were probably a political scheme.
yes,
Wow. That's pretty rough. Well,
yes. But yeah, I will fact check myself a little bit here. They have since amended the requirements to make it so that the Trump Bible isn't literally the only Bible that fits the bill.
Tom, we have a little bit of time left, but I was wondering if you had a hot take of the week or a crazy stat or something.
Well, hold on. There was one more thing that we
Oh,
needed to talk
okay.
about. Hurricane
Oh,
misinformation.
yes. Very important.
I do not know how this happened. Okay, so we've got a couple of rumors going around right now. Two rumors I want to really address. Rumor one is that the Democrats have the power to create hurricanes and send them in a specific direction towards specifically red states and red voters in an attempt to upend the election. I want to address this misinformation. I mean, it's just an outright lie, is what it really is. But I'll be nice. It's misinformation, and I want to just clear this up. If the Democrats had the ability to create hurricanes, like that was the level that the technology they had access to was at, there wouldn't be red voters if that was their goal. The technology would be so advanced to the point where not only would they be able to accomplish literally every single goal they have ever desired, but you probably wouldn't even know that they had accomplished their goal. It is ridiculous level misinformation, total pants on fire foolishness. I don't know how else to put this. Like, I'm trying to be as nice as possible with the kitten gloves here because I know that they get really caught in their feelings, but if you think that the Democrats, or literally anyone on the planet for that matter, has the ability to make and direct a hurricane, you seriously need to be put into a mental institution.
Tom, I gotta
Seriously.
apologize. It's my fault. I'm actually an immortal spirit, and I summoned the
True.
hurricane, and it's all my doing. I have to apologize to the good
True.
people of Florida for that.
Well, I pray to Joe Poseidon.
But
So I just I love that.
no, the craziest part of this for
Rumor
me.
two.
Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. You go
Oh
ahead. Go
yeah, sure,
ahead. No,
sure.
no,
The
no.
craziest part of this for me is that for like decades, Democrats have been saying the climate is changing. Extreme weather events are going to become more frequent and more extreme. And then finally, one comes that's so crazy, it comes out of the Gulf of Mexico and it's huge, you know? And they just completely forget that Democrats have been saying that for decades and now believe that Democrats have crazy weather machines. Insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how to really describe my feelings about this. This is like such high level moron behavior that I don't know I don't know really how to break it down. I'm not my master's degree in psychology is not enough to describe these people.
Like, I'm not even
Um
sad or upset. I'm really disappointed. I'm like really? We're here now?
I'm I'm not even confused. I was gonna say I'm confused. I'm not even confused. I'm just scared.
It is
Like,
scary.
I'm scared that people actually think it's possible that Democrats are targeting red states with a hurricane machine.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's a majority of people or
No,
even,
obviously it's
but
not.
it's like a big enough chunk where I'm starting to get worried. Like maybe 10% of people
I'm
around me believe
sorry.
this.
I'm sorry. More than 10 people in the entire country truly believing that is too many.
Yeah.
Like that's scary if 10 people believe that. Let alone sitting Congress members saying that it's the case. That's just it's insane. So rumor two that I wanted to address really quick, and then I do actually want to get into hot takes. We might go a little bit over, but rumor two or misinformation two that I want to go over is that the people of Tampa Bay they experience hurricanes rather frequently, right?
Yeah.
Like this is not their first time at the rodeo, okay?
That's right.
How the fuck are you falling for some of these misinformation campaigns? Like for example, one of the big ones I've seen is that there's a piece of misinformation floating around down there that the FEMA workers who were coming to help evacuate people during the danger, like not right now, but during the hurricane, they were there to survey your land and take it from you. What?
Yeah, there was some
What are you
misinformation I
talking
saw
about?
about FEMA workers gunning down people defending their land.
Yeah, it's they literally don't even have guns.
Yeah. And some
It,
people
it's
might.
just it makes no sense. Like, dude, the people of Tampa Bay, you have experienced for your entire lives hurricanes. Has any of that happened once? No. So why all of a sudden do you think that that's the case? It just makes no sense. What? I see. The thing is, I'm not even upset at the person spreading the misinformation about that one at this point. I'm upset that there's actually native Tampa Bay people that believe that.
Yeah, and
Tampa Baysians
some
that
people,
believe that.
some people might be discouraged from for applying for the assistance that they could get from FEMA, and that actually might hurt people.
Oh yeah, the implications is quite obvious. But the fact that they actually I don't know, the fact that they actually believe this and they've experienced so many hurricanes is just insane to me. Reality doesn't matter anymore.
Man, that's why I fucking hate
It's
Trump,
it's
dude. He
bizarre.
broke our brains. He broke our politics.
Who,
It's
Reagan?
well, I mean Reagan certainly helped, but I think really Trump landed the killing blow to reality.
Reagan so Trump is the tree that Reagan planted the seed of.
Yeah, I mean I don't think that's a unreasonable take.
Me neither. I mean, if you just observe economic trends, it's very obvious.
Well, listen, Tom. What's your hot take of the week? Get us out of this this
You
depressive
you go
hole.
first. You go
Oh, I don't really
first.
have a hot take this week.
Oh, um, so how do I phrase this? I was trying to buy some time so I could percolate how I wanted to say this idea, because I got something. I just need to formulate it into it. I need to hurricane bend it into an actual thought. Um, frick. Yeah, it might have to wait. I'm miffing it here.
All right. Well, we'll have a
You
great.
put me on the spotlight, Anthony. I'm freaking out.
Well, if you have to wait, we'll have a great one next episode then.
Yeah. Have a nice week, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to follow, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Share it with your friends. I promise it'll be cool, not cringe. And
It might be a little cringe,
we'll
but that's
see you
fine.
next time. It might be both, but they'll like it.
All right. See you guys. Stay safe. Stay
All
dry.
right. Bye,
Bye
everybody.
bye.